कर रहे हो ना?
Okay. Welcome to the live session of the CSR course, and who all are there? Can I see people, or will I be only responding to people? Okay, I think the chat will have to start here. All right. It will be nice if you can share your inputs. Oh, great. Here is someone I've been interacting with for a while. Good afternoon, Mr. Matthew. Nice to see you here. Nice to connect with you here. Mr. Matthew has been in touch with me for a while now regarding his work. So it's nice to see you connected. Okay, I'm also typing alongside. It will be nice if you can share your inputs regarding the course, any questions, any concerns you may have. Please tell me about your experiences with the course. Nice to be associated with you as well, Mr. Matthew. Now, I don't know how many people are connected, but I recently discovered something regarding corporate social responsibility that I thought I could share with you, and maybe I'll have somebody talk to you about it, and that is the extended producer responsibility. So, an example of that is when producers are also considered responsible to dispose of, or they are also considered responsible for the for the the disposal of the waste that is generated as a result of the usage of their products. So, for example, if your cell phone dies, and or if you want to replace your cell phone, you can't throw it in the garbage. So they are supposed to come and collect it. So something like that. I read about it, and I believe it's in the works of becoming a law. So that's something nice. Thank you, Mr. Matthew. Thank you, Mr. Kanaka. Mr. Matthew says, I primarily wanted to check with you that I have not been able to keep pace with weeks 1, 2, and 3 plan, and how should we go about it? The way you can go about it is, I would advise you to go through the video lectures and take whatever is given in the video lectures as leads to read further, to think about things, to mull over things, read the forum. A lot of answers are answered on the questions are answered on the forum. Take leads from the forum, go through the reading material, and just try and expand your horizons. The purpose of this course was not to give you all the information in the world about corporate social responsibility, but I've tried to cover as much ground as possible in terms of planting the seeds for further learning. So I've given you many ideas, and each idea can further be translated into a whole bunch of new things. Something else that I wanted to share with all of you in this session was, and of course, we'll try and upload it at some point. It's very unfortunate, what has happened in Kerala recently, and we've all been following the news, and it hurts, pains our hearts to see that such a beautiful state with such beautiful, nice, warm, affectionate, hospitable people has been ravaged. So, and it's really unfortunate, and the whole country is coming together, and we are getting help from outside also. Now, I recently came across someone who has physically gone there on behalf of a friend of mine actually, whose family owns a large business, went to Kerala, and she went there with her daughter and tied up with some NGOs and physically supported the relief efforts as far as she could, including cleaning and looking after people, checking with them what they need, and so her organization is helping with this. Now, I have asked her to maybe record a video clip, or if possible come live here and talk to you in the next session. If possible, we'll get her live. If we cannot get her live, then I will at least upload a recording by her regarding what corporations, organizations, profit-making organizations are doing or can do to support the relief efforts in Kerala, and take it as an example regarding how such efforts can be made by corporate houses in terms of crisis, national crises like the one we have in Kerala at this point. So we are constantly updating ourselves, and just this morning I came across many inputs by some of you, where people have shared new things that they've come up with, new things that they've found. There were several examples of stakeholder dialogue. There was a link to the sustainability report of Reliance International Limited, etc. So it's really nice that all of you are participating so wholeheartedly. It's wonderful. Okay, I'm still waiting for more questions, comments. I mean, I know the questions will start coming in after 15 minutes, but do comment, do share what you've, excuse me, what you are, what your experiences with the course have been, anything specific that you liked or disliked or found could be improved. That'll be nice. It'll be nice to know what you think about the course and how we can improve it. See, that's the beauty of these online courses. When we get suggestions from you, we can incorporate them. When we see new things, we can incorporate them as we go along. That just keeps adding to the richness of the course. Okay, still waiting. Something else that I maybe wanted you all to think about, I'm sure, I have covered it in some aspects in the course itself, but there's a lot of emphasis on green supply chain, and there's a lot of emphasis on care for the environment. So sustainability and CSR are coming together, and okay, I think I got a question here. Kindly clarify the linkage between sustainability and CSR, especially in the Indian context. Somebody had asked me about sustainability and CSR in the Indian context. Now, I think the name of the student, no, this was Dr. C.S. Azad, who's a consultant. All right, I think I will respond to this for starters. Now, as far as sustainability and CSR are concerned, see, corporate social responsibility is a superset. and sustainability is a subset of corporate social responsibility. Now, sustainability, like I told you in the lecture, means that we keep something in a state of dynamic equilibrium. So, something that is going on that is sustainable, something that keeps in motion. And when we talk about environmental sustainability, we are talking about the sustainability of resources that we are using. So, and corporate social responsibility. Uh, we are essentially talking about replenishing our resources as we go along. And when we talk about corporate social responsibility, we are essentially saying that it is the responsibility of corporate houses to keep replenishing the resources that they use, so giving back to the society from where they are taking all these resources. Now, I recently read a very interesting example. Our director, Professor P.P. Chakrabarty, had recently gone for a meeting to Delhi, and he put up he's very active on Facebook, and he put up this very, very interesting idea on the website. On his website, he said that in the meeting that he attended, they had given them notepads with seeds. They were made of recycled paper, and there were seeds on the top of the notepad. So, if the notepad was finally thrown in trash, the seeds would eventually be going back to the garbage dump, or hopefully they would find an environment from which they could grow. Similarly, they were given pencils that contained a tiny packet of seeds at the back, and once the pencil was thrown in the garbage, it went back into the soil. The seeds would find a way to sprout. So that is something very, very interesting that doesn't require very much effort on the part of the people who are using these things. But everybody got these notepads, and the idea was that, okay, we are not only asking you to look after the environment, we are also, giving you the resources to replenish whatever we have used from the environment. So that's another very interesting example of corporate social responsibility and sustainability coming together. I hope that answers your question, Dr. Azad. Arunima Sarkar. Good afternoon, Arunima. Nice to be in touch with you. Please pardon me for my sore throat. Okay. Somebody called Egam Tube. Good to be associated with you all. Good to be associated with you as well. Thank you for joining us. Okay, still waiting for questions. This means that either you found everything in the course is very clear up till now, which is very nice, or something can be improved in the course, which is why I'm not getting any questions, huh? So please share your concerns, comments, inputs. The one thing that I would like to tell you in this live session is that, okay, yeah, I got a question. I'll respond to that. Good afternoon. Suraj Kumar, good afternoon, ma'am. There is always a notion, especially in manufacturing areas like steel plants, that NGOs have friends and CSR departments. NGOs have friends. CSR department have funds. CSR gives after taking something while NGOs don't. I don't understand your question, Mr. Suraj Kumar. What do you mean by NGOs have friends and CSR departments have funds? I'm not sure I understand your question. Can you please rephrase it? EGM tube, ma'am, exam will be in multiple options or descriptive? No, the entire exam will be multiple choice questions similar to your assignments, and there will be absolutely no negative marking, and you'll have enough time to think about things. Hanji, Suraj Kumar ji, I'm not able to understand your question. You say CSR gives after taking something while NGOs don't. I'm not sure I understand that question. What do you mean? Can you please rephrase your question? Bharti, is this course now a part of curriculum in any degree? Bharti, I'm not sure I have seen this, but if you do become aware of this, please let me know. I did see that the HRM course offered through MOOC is now being taught as the part of a curriculum in some college in Calcutta, or Kolkata, I'm sorry. So, okay, Mr. Matthew, maybe next time you can always get in touch with me over email. So, maybe the people connected to us at this point can respond to Bharti's question. Bharti is asking if whether this course is now a part of curriculum in any degree or in any institute of higher education, in any college, any university. Is that so? The people who are listening to us can maybe respond to this. Is this course being taught as part of your curriculum anywhere? If yes, please let us know. Okay, let me introduce you to the TA for this course while we are looking at your questions. This is Mr. Rohit Kumar. Can you please focus on Rohit? Rohit, just come here. Kumar Rohit, he's the teaching assistant for this course. He's been helping. Okay, I have a question here. I wanted to say that while working in the field, I've observed, Mr. Suraj Kumar is asking, I wanted to say that while working in the field, I have observed that people are of the opinion that NGOs have an edge for the reason that they do not take anything like land, water, etc. See, when we talk about corporate social responsibility, I think I understand your question. You're saying that NGOs do what they're doing out of the goodness of their heart, and the CSR efforts of organizations are usually a compensation for what the organization has done to you. In some ways that may be true, but then the CSR efforts are also ideally CSR efforts are also meant to be for the good of the society. They are just not meant to be compensatory mechanisms for the harm that the organization's existence may have brought to the community that you're in. Non-government, see, there's a difference between non-government organizations, non-profit organizations and voluntary organizations. We club all of them together and we say NGOs. I think what you're talking about is primarily voluntary social welfare organizations, organizations that come up because they feel that the organization is the community is not being looked after by the corporate houses. So ideally that should be the case, but yes, you may be right, especially in cases where the CSR efforts of organizations do not seem heartfelt or where they are not serving the society the way they should. In those cases, the voluntary organizations that for social welfare that spring up in different areas may have an edge in terms of their public image, public impression. People may feel more comfortable dealing with the voluntary organizations. Excuse me. I hope that answers your question, Mr. Suraj Kumar. Can we include some interviews with CSR people from different companies on their implementations? Definitely, I will try. Ma'am, is there any penalty or action being taken for Indian companies not following the CSR mandatory norms? I am not aware, actually, at this point. I don't think that any strict action is being taken, but I may be wrong. I think the same question had been asked on the forum also. Great, thank you, Mr. Suraj Kumar. The explanation answers his question. Thank you very much for acknowledging it. Excuse me. Okay. See, one way, I think I mentioned this in the course also, one way of finding out what kinds of CSR activities are taking place or what organizations are doing for the benefit of the community is to go through the corporate go through the annual reports of these organizations. I showed you examples of annual reports. One way of doing it is to go through the sustainability reporting section and the social responsibility section of these organizations. So, of the annual reports published by these corporate houses. Sorry, excuse me. What else? Still waiting to hear from you. Okay. I was going through the list of questions. Most of them have been answered on the forum. Okay, still waiting for more questions, more comments. So since excuse me, the following people are connected, it will be nice to see what your experience has been with the course so far. Why don't we start? Yes, you're right, Mr. Matthew. Mr. Matthew is saying that there is a synopsis of all CSR programs in the annual report for all listed companies. You're right, Mr. Matthew. This is provided in the social responsibility report section of the annual report of each listed company. So, excuse me, it's supposed to be reported. Some people or some companies are clubbing the sustainability reporting with responsibility reporting. Arunima Sarkar, is there any auditing done by the government for who are implementing CSR activities or not? I'm not sure, Arunima. This relates to the previous question that also cropped up on the forum. I've tried to look for the answer. I haven't found the answer. I don't think that this is going on. I'm sure, if somebody actively came to know that they were not following it, something would be done, but I'm not sure if this is being done. Arunima is asking, okay, Arjun Malge, how CSR, I hope I pronounced your name right, how CSR impacts social development. The idea, Arjun, is to give back to the society in such a way that the society can use the help that you're giving back to it. So if you are giving back to the society just something that you have an excess of, for example, I think the example I gave you in the videos was that of companies manufacturing computers, donating these extra computers to geographic regions that don't even have electricity, and or so there it's of no use. These people don't have enough to eat, they don't have water to drink, and you're giving them computers. It doesn't help. Similarly, there's the example of large pharmaceutical companies in other countries that again, I don't know if this is really true, but I've heard, I've read reports of large pharmaceutical companies dumping the expired medicines in developing countries as part of their supposedly social responsibility efforts, or sending medicines that have still not been approved by the government controlling agencies. So that is negative CSR, and okay, so that is the impact. So any activity that helps social welfare. Now, social development is a very, very, very big concept. When we talk about social development, we are talking about whatever we do to help the society around us. And CSR, if we conduct activities that are actually helping or assisting with the welfare of the communities that we exist in, then the impact is very, very significant, and it really helps these organizations. CSR could actually, the CSR activities don't need to be done separately from what we are, or they don't need to be divorced from what the company is actually doing. We can be socially responsible by using material, right from the beginning point of the supply chain. So you could be socially responsible by using recyclable material to do whatever it is that you're doing. I heard that PepsiCo has, I may be mistaken, not PepsiCo, but one of the large aerated drinks companies is now using recycled bottles. So they pick up the plastic or they pick up their own discarded bottles, recycle them, and rebottle or use the recycled plastic to bottle fresh beverage. Now that is an example of social responsibility, and that is really going to help the environment. That's also part of the extended producer responsibility, which says that you're doing everything in your capacity to make sure that whatever you are producing doesn't harm the environment. That is how it contributes to social development. Over time it becomes a habit, and the negative impacts are lessened, and that's how it helps. Now I hope I've answered your question, Arjun. Bharti says, is employee time put in a part of the CSR, as part of CSR mandatory, or is it optional or additional to CSR funds? I'm not very sure of that. I'll have to check on that and let you know. I am not very well versed with the CSR law, to be very honest. The CSR stipulation in the Companies Act. So I will check this and get back to you. Also, the buckets into which companies want to support from CSR is decided by respective boards. I think it is. Yes, it is decided by the respective boards, the decision making authorities in the different companies. Thank you for all these questions, Bharti. That's very nice of you. I wish if I had seen these questions yesterday, I would have come armed with the answers today. So thank you. Is there one place where we can get a list of companies who support CSR in higher education? What do you mean by support CSR in higher education? There is no such list, but I'm not sure I understand what you mean by CSR in higher education. Can you please elaborate on that? Yes, Arjun, did I answer your question? Can you let me know if I answered your question or if you have anything more to say? Swati Bhatt, doing responsible business and corporate social responsibility, are they different? No, they are not different. They are not different. I know where this question is coming from. It's probably coming from what I described earlier. Conducting your business responsibly and corporate social responsibility are meshed with each other. When we talk about corporate responsibility, we are talking about doing everything in your capacity to give back to the environment, and that starts with you using your resources that are given to you by the same environment responsibly. So no, they are not different. They are connected. They are very, very connected to each other. Does that answer your question, Swati? Yes, any more questions? I will look up the law, the laws governing CSR in India. I will look up the auditing. I will look up the funding for CSR. All of those details I will look up and get back to you on those. Jinal Sangvi, is 5% ruling of CSR money to be used for human resource and training of employees of NGOs different from administrative cost claimed by the NGOs? 5% rule of CSR money to be used for human resource and training of employees of NGOs? I'm not very sure what you are talking about. NGOs, the 5% rule of CSR money does not apply to NGOs, it applies to corporate houses that make a certain amount of money. Okay, and it's 2% necessary spending. So I'm not very sure. When we talk about the costs incurred by NGOs, then that is different. How NGOs run their business or run their activities is very, very different. Swati says CSR is more into philanthropy, evidently, in India. Yes, that is the way CSR is supposed to be. We are focusing on helping the community that we live in. The reason this disconnect between what the company produces and what it gives back to the society was introduced was because what companies had started doing was that they had started dumping their excess inventory, the unused inventory, instead of disposing of their unused inventory appropriately. They had started dumping the unused decaying inventory into places that may or may not have been able to use them. So that is why this addition came in, or the rule was modified, the stipulation was modified to make sure that companies actually went and did something different. They spent something different. Okay. What is the authority responsible for transparency in CSR? As far as I know, there is no specific authority that is responsible. Of course, the regular accounting auditing systems in companies are supposed to ensure that the money that is being spent is actually being spent where companies say it is being spent. What is the job opportunity in the Indian CSR field? Now, if you get training in CSR and you have a very and if you have a keen interest in serving the society and you're trained in different aspects of CSR, then you can be employed by the CSR wings of large corporate houses to run their CSR efforts. You could also be employed with international organizations that are working for sustainability, etc. So I hope that answers your question, Arjun. And Ratan Babu, I hope I answered your question as well. Naveen Matthew says, yes, 5% as administrative charges for CSR is allowed by MCA for corporates doing CSR. Okay, I did not know this. Okay. Bharti says, thank you too. We work with 3 companies who are supporting the economically disadvantaged students. Your course was very useful to me. Bharti says, so if we want to reach out to more companies who work in higher education area, we could reach out to them. Yes, you could. You could. I'm glad you found the course useful, Bharti. Ratan Babu, can we get RTI regarding CSR? Headline like activities done under CSR apart from employee welfare. As far as I know, RTI is only applicable to government organizations or public sector organizations. I don't think private organizations are covered under the RTI. So I don't think you can ask them what they're doing with their money. Okay, Ratan Babu, does that answer your question? Great. Yes, madam, thank you regarding the authority issue. Very nice. Ratan Babu, have I answered your question regarding RTI? Swati, thanks ma'am for the insight. Industry wise, if we focus on strategic CSR, the impact will be worthwhile and impact will be sustainable. You're absolutely right, Swati. We need people like you who understand the implications of the implications of what the companies do for the community, on the community itself. So if we really plan our work properly and if we give back to society in the way that it needs, we can really make a difference to our work. Okay. Ratan Babu says, then how can governments testify the CSR for private organizations? I'm not sure. I think this will be revealed in the auditing. As far as I know, the even private companies go through an audit, and when they go through the audit, I think that would probably be the checkpoint at which the mandatory spending on CSR could be checked and ensured. So that would probably be the point at which this could happen. But the government can ask private organizations. You and I may not be able to do that, but say the audit and accounts service, or people, officers of the Indian Audit and Accounts Service could ask them. Officers of the Indian Revenue Service could ask them. The Income Tax Department. All of these people could possibly, if things stand out, and if they're found to be spending on something other than what they say they're spending on, then that could be detected there. Okay, Vadiraj Managoli. Madam, I work for an IT organization which has a CSR wing, I'm assuming. How can I contribute by completing this course? This course will hopefully, by the end of this course, you will know what all you can do and how what you do affects the society, and what governs what you do. Newer ideas should be coming to you. So you could approach the CSR wing of your company and let them know that you have all these great ideas and you have the training in CSR, and you can plan CSR activities. You know how CSR activities can be controlled or checked or reported. So you have all that training and you can take it there, and they could use you because of the knowledge that you have gained. Ratan Babu. Okay, Naveen says, yes, as part of the audit, every year the auditor certifies that the CSR spending is as per the mandate of the CSR themes. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Mr. Matthew. Naveen, this is very nice. Ratan Babu says, yes, madam, now I can get direction. Audit might be the checkpoint. Heck with that. If possible, please remind this. Remind who and when? Ratan Babu, who should I remind and when should I remind them? Excuse me. Vadiraj, have I answered your question? Great. Ratan Babu, definitely in the next classes I will comment on the forum. The video recording was completed last year. So great. I am glad I was able to answer your question, Vadiraj. Ratan Babu says, now with Matthew sir's answer, I am happy. Very nice, Mr. Matthew. Thank you very much for helping. Naveen says, how do we design and measure outcomes in a CSR program? This will be coming up in the forthcoming lectures, so why don't you wait? Measuring outcomes in CSR programs is part of the future lectures. Is there a certified auditor kind of course? FKRs for CSR audits? I am not sure. You will need to check with finance faculty for that. Who will set guidelines for CSR activities, madam? There are national voluntary guidelines that have been proposed by the government, and they will be covered in the forthcoming lectures. I'm not sure if I've covered them till this point, but they give you some ideas on how to go about conducting your activities. Excuse me. So you can conduct your activities and then respond to them under different heads. Okay, Suchita Horo, Madam, I know some companies who does R&R and reports. What do you mean by R&R? And reports it under CSR. I just wanted to know what are the major differences between CSR and R&R. I'm not sure what R&R is, Suchita. Can you please tell me what R&R is? Great. I'm glad I was able to help you, Naveen and Vadiraj. Resettlement and rehabilitation. Okay, so you are talking about the resettlement and rehabilitation in the say something similar to what happens in the armed forces. Is that what you're talking about? Yes, Suchita. The armed forces, you can put in touch. Bharti says, Vadiraj, you can put us in touch with the CSR of your company if possible at NPTEL. We really require some support for various initiatives such as internships, etc. Very nice. It's nice that we are all getting together. Suchita, are you talking about resettlement and rehabilitation as in the case of the Indian Armed Forces? Ratan Babu, okay. I'm still trying to get a hold of what resettlement and which kind of resettlement and rehabilitation you're talking about. Now, what I know about resettlement and rehabilitation in the Indian Armed Forces is that once people retire, see, in the Indian Armed Forces, people retire at a much younger age than they do at when they're employed in other organizations, and because of their service to the country, they are the armed forces try to they try to help them get back into the society and become productive, because physically their bodies are able to handle the load. The armed forces cannot use them, so they ideally should not be clubbed under CSR. They are doing a different kind of service, but it's not it should not ideally be clubbed under the ambit or included in the ambit of corporate social responsibility. This is a separate kind of service. It's not really social responsibility. It is serving their own outgoing staff. People who have worked for them are now going back, so you're just helping them go back into the community. But if you're talking about some other type of research and resettlement and rehabilitation, then I will need to understand that. Okay. Jinal Singhvi, there exists scope for corporates to aid social progress in India. Merely making use of indices like the Social Progress Index to identify areas of social need that intersect. What is your question, Jinal? Vadiraj, Madam, will you be providing a checklist to measure an outcome and effectiveness of a CSR program? No, Vadiraj, there is no checklist. However, there are ways to do this. I am not very comfortable with checklists, but various methods of measuring outcomes and effectiveness of CSR programs have been described. Igam Tube, R&R, I guess, is more of post-disaster social services. Yes, the post-disaster social services, thank you for clarifying that. That would definitely count as corporate social responsibility. Yes, because you are helping the communities that have been affected by disasters, as in the case of Kerala. Absolutely, they are. They can be brought under the ambit of corporate social responsibility. Vadiraj, Bharti, Madam, I will try to get you in touch with the CSR of my company. Yes, Igam tube. Okay. All right. Sorry. Tube or tube. I'm sorry. Is it tube or tube? I'm sorry. I'm not sure whether I'm reading your name right. All right. That is exactly what this friend that I was talking about is doing. She is involved in helping she's involved with an NGO in Kerala that is helping people get back to their lives, after this major tragedy struck. Excuse me. And now I believe, with all the continuing, Igam sir, are the activities under R&R considered as CSR? Yes. Activities under resettlement and rehabilitation in the case of what term did you use? Post disaster social services? Yes, they are covered under the ambit of CSR. Swati says, I think Suchita is talking about resettlement and rehabilitation of, in case, land acquisition for manufacturing plant, R&R of farmers, for example. No, that doesn't count as CSR. And if it's being clubbed, then it's not right for them to club it, because that is not a responsibility, that is a necessity. It's not something that you're doing in addition to what you should be doing. So resettlement and rehabilitation of farmers after land acquisition is not, or should ideally not be considered a part of CSR efforts. I am not sure what the law says, but from my understanding of CSR, that should not be done. Does that answer your question, Suchita? Ratan Babu, Igam, have I answered your questions? Jinal, I'm still waiting for you to clarify your question. I'm sorry, I did not understand it. In greenfield projects during land acquisition, company does R&R. Yes, I understood that. Those ideally should not be clubbed under the ambit or in the ambit of CSR activities, Suchita, but I don't know what the law says. I'll have to check with that. Okay. Suraj says, my question is a bit different. Ma'am, what is your take on CSR awards being organized these days? Ideally, the huge amount spent on these should be used for development activities. I fully agree with you, Suraj. I fully agree with you that the money that is being spent on these awards should actually go to the field. However, when somebody does something out of the ordinary, we have to realize, we have to also understand the importance of acknowledgement of these activities undertaken by certain organizations. The flamboyance, I'm not comfortable with the flamboyant nature in which these award ceremonies are being conducted. I mean, again, that's my personal opinion. However, I don't think there's any law that stops this from happening. Okay. So, but maybe, young enthusiastic people like you, Suraj, can, when you are when you have the power to control this kind of expenditure, maybe you will do that and you will be a trendsetter. I hope that answers your question, Suraj. Great. Igam says, yes ma'am, thank you. Suchita says, yes ma'am, thank you. Ratan Babu says, yes madam, thanks. I'm glad I've been able to answer your questions. Okay. I'm glad, it's so nice to see that youngsters, enthusiastic people like you have enrolled for the course and you're actually thinking about a lot of different kinds of things in this course. So that's really, really nice. You're thinking about how you can use what you have learned and give back to the society in your own unique ways, and that's wonderful. Ratan Babu says, what are the ancillary activities like townships for employees, schools and furniture for employees and their children? No, they don't come under CSR. They don't come under CSR. You're only that you are only helping people who work for you. If you were to do something for the community outside of your internal stakeholders or outside of your external stakeholders also, that would be covered under CSR. Swati, right ma'am? I too second you on Suchita's query. Rehab of farmers ideally is not a part of it. Jinal says, wouldn't tools like Social Progress Index to identify areas of social need that intersect with line of corporate business would be a win-win situation for the country and the corporate? I agree with you, they would be a win-win situation. Very true. Suraj, thank you ma'am for the answer as well as motivation. Yes, there is a lot of scope for improvement and CSR is still an evolving phase. You're absolutely right, Suraj. The CSR is still evolving. What we do with it, how we contribute to the society, those things are still evolving. But India is a very diverse and a very rich country in terms of our heritage, in terms of our value system, in terms of our motivation. I mean, I hate to call it a developing country, but then the big positive about calling ourselves a developing country is that we are still, for us, there is still scope to go further. When we say we are developed, we come to a stable platform. So when we say developing, we are still on an upward learning curve or evolving phase, and that's very good because we can do so much with whatever we have here. So it's really nice. It's very nice, and I'm glad, I hope this starts a domino effect, and people like you who are listening, who are involved in such activities, every day we come to know of newer initiatives, newer things that people are doing to help the world that they live in. So when you are comfortable, you are also in a position to make others comfortable, and that is the whole philosophy behind CSR, that now that you are making money, why don't you start giving back to the society and helping people who need this help also become more comfortable in their own lives. That's very nice. Can quid pro quo activities be accepted under CSR? I'm not sure what you mean. Can you give me an example of such activities, please? Ratan Babu. I've just been shown the warning, so I think we have about 4 minutes more, maybe 3.5 minutes more. Ratan Babu, can you quickly tell me what kinds of activities you're talking about? Can you give me some examples? Okay, I think Ratan Babu is still typing. I know there's a little bit of a time lag, but this seems to have been a very, very nice, worthwhile, fruitful exercise. I hope we will have a transcript. I think we'll have a transcript of this whole chat, and we'll also have your questions here, so we can also think more and maybe add to the course that's already existing. I don't think I have too much time, probably just another maybe 2 minutes at the most. Ratan Babu, I'm still waiting. Okay. Organization requires raw materials which were supplied, and in return, if the organization did something to them like water plants, etc., yes, it would be CSR, and that is exactly the example that I gave you of our director going to this conference and finding out, or a workshop or a meeting where they were given notepads that had seeds in them, and they were given pencils which had seeds in them. So when you threw away something like this in the trash, it would go back to the soil and it would become, more plants would come up. So yes, Bharti, a suggestion, can we include the legal aspect of the laws with respect to CSR as an add-on module from the law department? Definitely, Bharti. Thank you very much for the idea. I was thinking about it myself. Please give me some time. I will see who in the School of Law can help add the module to this. I will speak to some professors and I will get back to you. Thank you very much for the suggestion. And for that, I think a lawyer can answer these questions much better. You're absolutely right. Purushottam Kamble, is it compulsory for each corporate organization to adopt the CSR policy? No, it is not mandatory. There is a benchmark. So if you're earning above 5 crores, if your annual turnover is above 5 crores, you need to give 2% back to the society. Those stipulations are listed in your lectures, so you need to go through them. The Companies Act actually has set a benchmark. So the idea is that when you're really comfortable and you're making so much profit, then you are in a position to give back to society. So Purushottam Kamble, Mr. Kamble, have I answered your question? I hope so. Ratan Babu, good idea, Bharti madam. Help us with this, madam. We will. Definitely, Ratan Babu. We will. Thank you, Bharti. Bharti, so sweet. She says, thank you. We enjoy having you offer courses as part of NPTEL. So do the learners, I guess. Thank you, Bharti. And I must put this on record. The NPTEL team here is by far the most efficient team. Of course, in addition to a couple of other teams, but one of the most efficient, most helpful, nicest and most hardworking teams at IIT Kharagpur. Great. I think we are almost out of time, or probably the session is drawing to a close. So thank you very much all of you for participating. Please continue. Okay, we have one last question. Jinal says, if a corporate wants the NGOs to use the CSR money to buy the product from the distributor of the corporate, is it allowed? I'm not sure. Jinal, these are all legal questions. I am not very well versed with this. I don't think no, it ideally should not be permitted. Suraj says, thank you for organizing this live web session for us. Looking forward to more such interactive sessions which are really helpful to us. I also enjoyed this immensely. We were asked to conduct a minimum of 2 such sessions, but I would be open to more than 2. But it's been a pleasure being connected with all of you. Please continue to participate on the forum. Please continue to give us suggestions. We will try and include as many suggestions as possible from you in this course and in further courses. Thank you so much, all of you. It's been a pleasure interacting with you. You all have a nice day. Thank you. Bye-bye.